How's it going, everyone? I'm Alex with AC Flips. I'm a full-time six-figure Amazon seller. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to understand variation listings. To a beginning seller, variation listings may be super confusing and you're probably avoiding them altogether. And because of that, you're missing out on a ton of different opportunities that variation listings bring. So hopefully after this video, you'll be able to understand why variation listings are good, how to dissect them, and understand which variations are going to sell the most. So let's jump into the video. Up a variation listing here. It's just a Nike shoe, the men's Court Vision low sneaker. There's a couple different color variations and obviously a bunch of size variations. So at first glance, we can see that the sales rank is 4,000, which is really good for clothing and shoes. Estimated sales around 4,000 times a month. Sale price on this shoe, $65, not super important. But what you need to understand is those 4,000 sales per month is not on a specific shoe, that's on the entire listing. So all the variations and sizes sell around 4,000 times per month. So it's up to us to figure out which variations are gonna take the most of those 4,000 sales. And the best way to do that is to look at the Keepa charts. We can go to the variations tab, and that's going to bring up all the different variations and the ones that are going to sell the most. How do we find the ones that sell the most, right? So we want to sort by ratings. Sorting by the ratings is kind of like sorting by the ones that sell the most. And let me break that down. Think about it in this way. The more sales a product gets, the more ratings potentially it could get, or reviews. If something sells 1,000 times, there's a lot better chance to get reviews on those 1,000 sales compared to something selling 10 times. So sorting by this is kind of a good makeshift way to understand which variations are going to sell the most. And you can see 362 reviews on this top listing. If you scroll all the way down towards the bottom, you see ones that are not even, 20 or 30 reviews for the shoe. So as a rule of thumb, you're going to see neutral colors sell the best, especially if there's a certain shoe or shirt with a bunch of different blues and reds and purples and oranges. Those colors don't sell as well as the whites and the blacks and the grays. Some of those neutral colors. So ideally we want to stick to those, but that doesn't always mean that only neutrals are going to sell well. We need to look at the variations tab to understand which ones are going to sell the best. As you can see, after sorting by ratings, it's all of the white shoe that sells the best here, and we can see the different sizes that also sell the best. For men's shoes, going to be anywhere from 9 to up to size 12 are going to sell usually the most often. And for females, it's around size 7 to size 10, 10 and a half are going to be the best selling variations as well. So then how can we estimate how many sales a certain variation is going to get, right? We can sort and see that this one's going to sell the most, but how do we know how many sales it's actually going to get? So we can take this 5% and we can multiply that by the total sales on the listing. So we have that 4,000 sales per month times the 5% gets you around 200 sales per month on this size 10 white shoe variation. You're going to see certain variations where only a couple of the colors or sizes hog most of the ratings, right? Anywhere from 30 to 50%, and then the rest are 1% or less. But this one has a pretty good distribution based on the sizes. So we know that 5% compared to 4% compared to 3% really isn't that big of a difference when comparing sales per month. So we should be able to sell any of these variations listed in the 3% range or above and still expect a similar sales per month. Again, if you find another listing where the top one sells 70% of the ratings, the next one sells 20%, and then the third one sells less than 1%, you probably want to stick to the top two variations because those will probably acquire the most sales. So we know that any of these shoes at 3% or higher ratings are going to sell probably around 200 sales per month. And now which one is going to be worth selling the most? If we find this white shoe on a website, chances are they're going to have all of these sizes available. So we want to pick the one that maybe is going to make us the most money, especially if they're all going to sell into a similar amount per month. So we can look at the buy box column here and see which one is listed the highest. I can see the 10.5 is 82, the 8.5 is 76, and the rest are around the $65 range. So let's try this $82. We want to make sure that the chart also looks good, because if for some reason the price jumped up to $82 and we just bought and then a week later it's back down near the $65 where the other variations are, then we know that that's maybe one we want to avoid. So looking at the chart, this is the 8.5 that had that $80 plus buy box, and we can look in the recent history of this product. We can see that $80 for the buy box actually is pretty realistic. Over the last 3 months, you can kind of draw a trend line and it kind of goes right through the middle of all these peaks and valleys. and might be able to get the buy box around $80 to $82. If we look after Christmas and say the Christmas sales had an inflated price, we can still see that even at the lowest, 65, and the highest, 95, we can kind of draw a line in the middle and see that the buy box might be around from $75 to $85. The number of sellers on the listing matters as well. If we were to see large drop-offs and peaks in the amount of sellers on the listing, that should correlate to some sort of jump or decline in the buy box price as well. We can see that the seller count has just a slow decline over the last few months, but it really doesn't have any major peaks or valleys. Because the seller count is kind of as low as it's been in the last few months, we can expect the buy box to stay around this $80 range. If that is the case, we can enter $82 as our sale price, expecting to sell this anywhere from, like I said, $75 to the $85 range. That creates a max cost of $46.50. So hopefully by reverse sourcing this product, we are able to find it at a store for less than $46. Now I want to show you a couple different examples for the variation listings because some of them might be deceiving and will make you purchase something that's really not worth purchasing just because it has high profit numbers. So if you scroll down a little bit on the variation listings, we find this shoe that is black with a white Nike symbol, size 12.5, and the buy box is $104, right? Let's say we found this shoe for around that $45 range that we were looking at for the other shoe variation. We can see, wow, $34 profit, 77% ROI, awesome numbers, right? A newbie looking at this listing might see this and say, all right, I'm making good profit. Let me purchase this item. Also, if you don't understand the estimated sales, how that covers the entire listing, not just a specific variation, you might get skewed and buy more than you should on this listing because you think that it's going to sell 4,000 times a month for this exact shoe. Looking at the Keepa chart, we saw this price around $90 in the past. It's now up to that $103, $104 range, and the amount of sellers in the listing hasn't gone up or down very much. But when we scroll way down on the variation listings after sorting by the ratings, right? Remember, we have to sort by ratings. We see that less than 1% of the ratings compared to the entire ratings of the listing is this exact shoe that we were looking at. $104 buy box, which is high, but we shouldn't expect really hardly any sales per month on this listing. Maybe only a couple sales per month at most. We can see on the listing there are 3 offer counts. So we would be adding a 4th offer count, which means you have to divide the total sales per month on this listing by the number of sellers, assuming that each seller gets an even distribution of the buy box and gets an even number of sales. So if this listing gets 5 sales per month and we are the 4th seller on the listing, we can assume that everyone is going to sell anywhere from 1 to 2 sales per month of this variation. Knowing that, we definitely wouldn't want to buy this shoe just because of how little it sells, and we're just locking up capital into something that's not going to sell. It doesn't matter how much profit it's going to make. If you're not moving product and moving through and getting your money back to you sooner, it's not worth purchasing. My philosophy is that you want something that's going to move faster, even if it brings a little bit lower ROI. Because if you can get your money back sooner, you can now spend that money back on more inventory and grow the business that much faster. So this is just something to look out for. You're going to find a lot of products that have a super high profit and ROI, but the variation is not a good one that you want to be purchasing, right? It doesn't sell very often, if not at all, per month. And like I mentioned earlier, you're going to find the ones that are these blue colors and the reds and the oranges and the yellows, ones that, aren't as popular to the mass amounts of people, and those ones aren't going to sell as fast. So you want to make sure that the variation you're thinking of buying, although it has good profit and ROI, you're going to make sure that it moves fast enough for you to get your money back and keep investing it into the business. So one more quick overview, go to the variations tab on the Keepa chart, sort by ratings, and that will show you which products are selling the fastest, and multiply this percentage under ratings by the total number of sales per month, and that should give you a good estimate of how many sales that specific variation is getting per month. All right, so hopefully all of you guys have a good understanding of variation listings and how to navigate them to find the ones that are going to sell the most. If you guys liked the video, definitely hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.